Let's get back to the procedure source section. One thing we had left pending was that we wanted attractions to be sorted in alphabetical order by attraction name. We can achieve this by simply writing, next to the for each command, the clause order attraction name. Let's execute the procedure so we can see it. We'll right-click with the mouse and select Run with this only. And we see that the tourist attractions are now listed in alphabetical order by name. Let's now take a look at something interesting. The for each navigates a specific physical table, which in this case is attraction, whose data we had sorted using the attraction name attribute, which is also in the attraction table. But GeneXus allows us to sort by the value of an attribute that is not in the attraction table, but in its extended table. Let's change the attribute following the order by country name. This attribute is not physically present in the base table of the for each, but it is in the extended table of the base table, so we can use it to sort by. Let's execute the procedure to see the results. We can now see that the listing includes the attractions sorted alphabetically by country name. Now, what would happen if the travel agency asked us for a list of only the tourist attractions located in France? Let's get back to GeneXus to solve this. We will only add to the for each command a clause called where, for it to filter and show only the data that fulfills the desired condition. We go to the row following the for each and write where country ID equals 2. Because we know that the ID for France is 2. We could have also written where country name equals France. We then save and execute the report. And in fact, the listing shows only the attractions in France. Alright. So far, we've defined a procedure with a single for each command, which, as we saw, accesses the data of a base table and its extended table. Let's now suppose that the travel agency requests a listing to show all the categories of attractions, and for each category, the list of attractions that have been entered, using this format. Prior to solving this request, let's execute the application to add a couple of tourist attractions. We press F5. And here we see the new home screen, which now generates the Evolution 2 version of GeneXus, with which we've been working. Let's execute our work with attractions. We add the Christ Redeemer, which is located in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, in the monument category. And we upload its image. Now we enter the Smithsonian Museum, located in the US, in the city of Washington, and select an image of it. And now we can go on to define the required listing. Let's create a procedure object. We select File, New, Object, then select Procedure and call it Categories Attraction Report. Now let's go back to see what we want to be viewed on the listing. We want to show each category entered, and for each category, all the attractions that belong to that category. Note that we have to show 3 fixed contents, and 2 contents with data that we must extract from the database. Let's start by defining the layout of the procedure on the basis of what we were asked to have in view, and then we'll see how to code the source. We use the print block already created, and we add the listing's title. We drag a rectangle control, change its back color property, and insert a text block inside. Then we type in the title, Categories and Attractions Report. And name this print block Title. Now let's add another print block to show each category name. We call it Categories. Then we drag a control of the text block type to the print block and insert the text Category. And drag next to it a control of the attribute variable type to show the value of the category name attribute. We create another print block to show the column titles. We call it Attractions Column Titles. And add the text Attraction Name, the text Attraction Country, and the line below those texts. Now we insert the last print block to show in it the data corresponding to the attractions. We call it Attractions. And we include in it the attraction name and country name attributes under the corresponding titles. Now let's go to the source section. Let's write the first instruction to print the listing's title. Print title. And now let's pause to see what we should do next. Since we have to navigate through the categories, and for each of them then navigate several attractions that belong to that category, this case is different from the case of the previous listing that we solved. As we saw in the previous listing, we navigated through the attractions, and because each attraction has only one country, we could recover the country name of each attraction because it was in the extended table of the base table we were navigating. Whenever we have access to the information we want to show, we can, in the extended table of the base table we're navigating, reference it directly in the same for each. But if we're navigating a table and need, for each record accessed, to navigate several related records that are in another table, which does not belong to the extended table of the table we're navigating, then we must write another for each within the first one to go over the whole group of related records. Going back to the source, let's start by writing the first for each to navigate and show the categories. We write inside the for each, print categories. And since the categories print block only includes the category name attribute, GeneXus will understand that the base table of this for each will be category. Within this for each that navigates the categories, after a category is shown, we want to navigate the whole group of attractions belonging to that category. So we must write the second for each that we mentioned in order to go through all the attractions belonging to that category that was being navigated. Just prior to navigating all the attractions in the category, we should show the titles that will be heading the transactions that we'll show. So let's write the instruction print attractions column titles. And now let's write the second for each within the first one. We write for each within the same print and the name of the print block attractions. And end4 to close this navigation, plus the last end4 to close the first navigation. Let's recall that for the listing to be in PDF format, we have to set the properties of the report main program with the value set to true. In main object properties, we set the value HTTP for the call protocol property. and we have to insert the output file rule in the rules section. We complete the name of the listings file, categories attractions report PDF, and the PDF format. Then we save, and we execute this listing. Note that all the categories we had entered are listed, and for each of them, the attractions that belong to the category are listed as well. In other words, this is exactly what we were asked for. Now, how did GeneXus know which attractions it should show for each category when we did not add any explicit conditions indicating that to our source? Although we wrote a for each that navigates the attractions, we did not add a where clause at all to filter the attractions that fulfill the condition of matching the value of the category's identifier with that of the category we are listing. So, how could GeneXus, at the time of navigating the attraction table, where all the attractions are stored, recover for each category only those that belong to the category? The answer to this question is in the way in which we wrote the for each. When two for each commands are written one behind the other, they are independent from one another. However, if we write a for each within another for each, it's because for every record in the first navigation, we want to go over a group of records. When we write nested for each commands, GeneXus determines, for every for each, the base table that it'll navigate, and then searches for possible relations between such base tables. In this case, the base table of the external for each is category, and the base table for the internal for each is attraction. And GeneXus knows that both tables have an attribute in common. Category ID, which is primary key in category, and foreign key in attraction. So the category ID attribute makes the tables attraction and category relate, as we see here, in a 1 to n relation. That means that for each category, there are many related attractions. So, for every category navigated in the external for each, GeneXus will execute the for each that navigates the attractions tables, and will filter only the attractions that comply with having the value of their category ID matching the value of the category ID of the category in which we are located. It's the same as if, in the internal for each, we had written the following, where category ID equals category ID. But we don't need to write this because GeneXus itself detects it and applies it. We have seen how easy it is to obtain information and deploy it on a report. But procedures can do a lot more than that, and that's something we'll see further ahead.